In our house, I was the background noise. My brother, Toby, was the golden boy, a high school football star with a smile that made people hand him free snacks at the mall. My sister, Chloe, was the social butterfly who spent 4 hours a day perfecting her hair. Then there was me, Jade. I was the quiet one. To my mother, Diana, I was just a walking calculator. She thought I spent all my time in my bedroom playing silly video games. She had no idea that I was actually a high-level cybersecurity consultant. By age 19, I had built a career securing the data of major companies. I made more money in a single month than Diana made in a whole year working at the local bank. I kept my success a total secret. I wore plain hoodies and drove a rusty old hatchback. I knew that in this house, money was like blood in the water, and my family were sharks. Sunday dinner was always a trap. Diana sat at the head of the table, sipping expensive imported tea that she definitely couldn't afford. She looked at my worn-out sneakers under the table and let out a long, dramatic sigh. "Jade, honestly, it's embarrassing how you live," she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "You're so stingy. Don't you want this family to look like we're actually successful?" I kept my eyes on my plate, chewing my carrots slowly. "I'm just careful with what I have, Mom," I replied softly. Toby laughed, tossing a piece of bread at my head. "Careful? You're just a greedy loser. I'm starting college in 2 weeks and I need a real car. A star athlete shouldn't be seen in a piece of junk like yours." Diana nodded, her eyes turning sharp and cold as she stared at me. "That's exactly what I wanted to talk about," Diana said, leaning forward. Her voice turned into a sugary, fake sweetness that always meant trouble. "Jade, you have a perfect credit score because you never buy anything fun, and I know you have a little tech savings tucked away. I want you to co-sign a loan for Toby. He deserves a custom Range Rover." I nearly choked on my water. "A $95,000 SUV? Mom, I'm saving for my own life." "I won't put my name on a debt that huge. Toby doesn't even have a summer job." The sweetness vanished instantly. Diana slammed her hand on the table so hard the plates rattled. "You are so incredibly selfish. You have no heart. We give you a place to sleep, and you can't do this one thing for your own brother." The rest of the evening was a nightmare. Chloe called me a heartless brat, and Toby told me I was dead to him. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just went to my room and locked the door. I knew Diana. She was desperate to maintain a rich image for her friends, and she had access to my social security number from my old tax papers. I knew she was bold enough to try something illegal. I didn't just lock my credit. I set up a high-priority fraud alert through a security firm I worked with. It was a digital tripwire. If anyone used my name at a dealership, a bank, or a credit agency, my phone would scream like a banshee. I went asleep with my phone gripped in my hand, waiting for the trap to snap shut on whoever tried to steal my future. Tuesday morning started like any other day. I was sitting in a quiet corner of the library, working on a security patch for a client. Suddenly, my phone didn't just vibrate, it let out a piercing, high-pitched shriek. A red notification flashed across the screen. Credit Inquiry AT Prestige MOTORS VIN 5TYP882L. My heart hammered against my ribs. She was actually doing it. She was at the dealership right now, using my identity to buy that Range Rover. I opened my remote dashboard and watched the digital signature being forged in real time. It was a perfect copy of mine, probably traced from my high school diploma. She thought I was busy with games and wouldn't notice until the first bill arrived in 30 days. She had no idea she was walking into a digital ambush I had prepared weeks ago. I didn't panic. Panic is for people without a plan. I called the dealership and asked for the sales department. I used my most professional adult voice, the one that sounded like a cold, high-level business executive. "Hello, I'm calling from the office of Jade Vance. We are verifying the VIN for a white Range Rover currently being processed for a client." The salesman was eager to please. He confirmed the full VIN and mentioned that Miss Vance was currently in the office finalizing the paperwork. I hung up and felt a wave of icy fury. She wasn't just buying a car. She was signing me up for nearly $100,000 of debt. If she missed even one payment, my credit would be destroyed. I packed my laptop and walked straight to the local police precinct. I walked into the station and asked to speak with an officer about identity theft. I sat down with Officer Benson and showed him the live alerts on my phone. My mother is at a dealership right now using my stolen identity to buy a luxury vehicle, I said, my voice steady but firm. I handed him a printout of the VIN and my credit alerts. I am here in front of you, which proves I am not at that dealership. I want to file a report for identity theft and grand theft auto. As soon as that car leaves the parking lot, I want it reported as stolen property. Officer Benson looked at the evidence and frowned. This is your mother we're talking about, Jade. Are you sure? I looked him right in the eyes. She stopped being my mother the moment she decided to steal my life. I went back home and sat on the front porch with a book. To anyone passing by, I looked like a normal girl enjoying the afternoon sun. But inside, I was a ticking clock. I knew the dealership was about 40 minutes away. I had a police scanner app running on my phone through my earbuds. I listened to the quiet hum of the dispatches until I finally heard it. Stolen vehicle alert, white Range Rover flagged VIN. Every patrol car in the county now had that car on their list. About 30 minutes later, I heard the sound of an expensive, powerful engine turning onto our street. A shiny, pearl-white Range Rover pulled into our gravel driveway. It looked like an alien spaceship compared to our small, peeling house. Diana climbed out of the driver's seat looking like a queen. She was wearing oversized sunglasses and a new silk scarf. Toby jumped out of the passenger side, hooting and punching the air. He ran his hand over the side of the car, grinning so wide his face looked like it would split. Chloe came running out of the front door, squealing at the top of her lungs. "Oh my God, you actually got it!" They screamed, hugging Diana as if she had just saved the world. I stayed in my chair, slowly turning a page in my book. I didn't say a single word. I just watched them celebrate a felony that they expected me to pay for. They were so busy being elite that they didn't notice the world closing in on them. Diana walked up the porch steps, looking down at me with a smug, mocking grin. She jingled the key fob in my face, the silver logo sparkling in the sun. "See, Jade, I got it done without your permission," she hissed. "Since you were too selfish to help your brother, I had to take matters into my own hands. The car is in your name, which means you're responsible for the payments and the insurance. Think of it as a thank you for all the years I spent raising you." I looked up at her, my expression completely flat. "You forged my name, Mom." "That's a crime," she laughed, a harsh, jagged sound. "Oh, stop being so dramatic. I'm your mother. Everything you own belongs to me anyway. Now go inside and fix us some lunch. We're exhausted from all the paperwork." "I'm not making you lunch," I said, standing up. Toby walked over, puffing out his chest and trying to look intimidating. "Hey, watch your mouth. Mom just got us a sick ride. You should be thanking her for finally making us look like we aren't trash." I smiled, a tiny, sharp smile that didn't reach my eyes. "I don't think you'll be riding in that car for very long, Toby." Before he could even ask what I meant, the sound of sirens flooded the neighborhood. 2 police cruisers turned the corner, their lights flashing blue and red, reflecting off the shiny white paint of the Range Rover. They didn't slow down. They skidded to a stop right behind the SUV, blocking the driveway. Diana's sunglasses slipped down her nose. "What on earth is this?" she whispered. 3 officers stepped out of the cars, their faces grim. One of them pointed at the Range Rover. "Nobody move, step away from the vehicle." Diana started shaking, her face turning a sickly shade of gray. "Officers, there must be a huge mistake. This is our car." Officer Benson, the man I had spoken to earlier, walked toward us. "Ma'am, we have an active hit on a stolen VIN. This vehicle was flagged as a fraudulent purchase less than 3 hours ago." Diana turned to me, her eyes bulging with terror. "Jade, tell them you bought it as a gift. Tell them right now." She was begging, her voice cracking with desperation. The neighbors were all standing on their lawns now, watching the drama unfold. I walked down the steps and stood next to Officer Benson. "Is this the person who reported the theft, officer?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, Miss Vance." Diana let out a blood-curdling scream of pure rage. "You little traitor, you snake! How could you do this to your own mother?" The officers didn't hesitate. They grabbed Diana's arms and spun her around. The sound of the handcuffs clicking shut was the most beautiful music I had ever heard. It was the sound of a decade of being ignored and belittled finally coming to an end. "You're under arrest for identity theft and felony fraud," Benson said, pushing her toward the car. Toby tried to jump in the way. "You can't take her. Jade is lying. She's just a jealous freak." An officer shoved Toby back against the porch railing. "Back off, kid, or you're going in for obstruction of justice." Chloe was hysterical, sobbing on the lawn and filming the whole thing, though I knew she'd never post it once she realized how bad it made them look. Diana was being shoved into the back of the patrol car, her silk scarf tangled in the door. "I'll kill you for this, Jade. You're no daughter of mine." "You greedy, selfish monster." I watched the car door slam shut. The neighbors were whispering, their eyes wide. The perfect family image Diana had died for was gone in less than 5 minutes. The police stayed for a long time. A heavy-duty tow truck arrived to haul the Range Rover back to the dealership to be processed as evidence. I had to sign more papers and give a formal recorded statement right there on the porch. Once the sirens finally faded and the driveway was empty again, the house felt incredibly heavy. Toby and Chloe walked back inside, staring at me like I was a monster from a horror movie. "You really did it," Toby whispered, his voice trembling. "You sent Mom to a cell." I walked past him and went to the kitchen to get a glass of water. "No, Toby," I said. "Mom sent herself to a cell. I just refused to pay for the ride." That night, my phone turned into a war zone. It wasn't security alerts this time, it was the extended family. My Aunt Patty called me 12 times in a row. When I finally picked up, she started screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Jade, have you lost your mind? Your mother is sitting in a jail cell. She just wanted a nice life for her children. Drop the charges this instant." I took a deep breath. "She stole my identity, Aunt Patty. If I drop the charges, I become legally responsible for a $95,000 debt. Are you going to pay it for her?" There was a long, awkward silence. "Well, no, but she's your mother." I hung up the phone. Next morning, the atmosphere in the house was toxic. Toby was standing in the kitchen, blocking the pantry. "Chloe and I can't pay the light bill, Jade. Mom handles everything. If she's locked up, we lose the house. Is that what you want, to see your siblings on the street?" I looked at him, feeling a wave of pity. "Toby, Mom hasn't been paying the bills. I looked at the mail pile yesterday. We're 4 months behind on the mortgage. She was spending that money on your football camps and her expensive tea." Toby looked like I had punched him in the stomach. He didn't want to believe it. He wanted me to be the villain because the truth was too scary to face. I went to the county jail the next day. I wanted to see if there was even a shred of regret in her. We sat in a small room with a thick glass partition between us. Diana didn't look like a queen anymore. Her makeup was smeared and her hair was a mess. But the moment she saw me, her eyes filled with pure, undiluted hatred. "Are you satisfied?" she hissed. "You destroyed our future. I had a plan to sell that car for a profit in 6 months. We would have been set." I just stared at her. "You weren't going to sell it, Mom. You were going to let me drown in debt while you drove around town looking rich. You chose a car over your daughter." "I'm moving out tomorrow, Mom," I said, my voice quiet but as sharp as a razor. "And I'm not dropping the charges. The police did a search of your home office this morning. They found the other forged documents. They found the credit cards you opened in Chloe's name, too." Diana froze, her face turning a ghostly white. Behind me, Chloe, who had secretly followed me to the jail, let out a loud, strangled gasp. She hadn't known. Chloe ran up to the glass, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, you used my name for credit cards. I can't even get a cell phone plan because of you." Diana looked away, unable to say a word. The betrayal was finally complete. The drive home with Chloe was filled with the sound of her crying. "I have $12,000 in debt that I didn't even know existed," she sobbed. "My future is ruined before it even started. I thought she loved me more than you." I squeezed her hand. "We can fix it, Chloe, but only if we tell the truth to the investigators." When we got back to the house, Chloe told Toby everything. The star athlete finally broke down and cried like a baby. They realized that the quiet sister they had teased for years wasn't the selfish one. I was the only person in that house who had been smart enough to protect myself from a predator who shared our DNA. With Chloe's testimony added to mine, the case against Diana Vance became a landslide. It wasn't just a family disagreement anymore. It was a massive, documented pattern of identity theft and financial abuse. I spent the next 2 weeks working with a specialized lawyer to clear our credit reports. Because I had acted so fast and had the VIN flagged immediately, the bank was forced to admit the loan was fraudulent. The Range Rover was long gone, and the debt was finally wiped from my name. It took hours of paperwork and dozens of phone calls, but I could finally feel the weight of my mother's greed lifting off my shoulders. I was finally standing on my own 2 feet. 2 weeks later, a large moving truck pulled up to the curb. I wasn't just moving to a small apartment. I was taking Toby and Chloe with me. We found a decent 3-bedroom place in the city near the college. I paid the first 3 months of rent, but I made one thing very clear. They had to get jobs and pay their own way from then on. For the first time in their lives, they didn't argue. They didn't call me selfish. They packed their bags and left the old house behind as it went into foreclosure. As I walked through the empty rooms one last time, I felt a strange sense of peace. I wasn't a ghost anymore. I was the leader. Diana was sentenced to 4 years in state prison for multiple counts of felony identity theft and fraud. She tried to cry for the cameras in the courtroom, but the judge didn't look impressed. He called her actions calculated and cruel. Toby and Chloe refused to attend the hearing, but I was there. I wanted to see the end of the story. When the bailiff led her away, she finally looked at me. There was no more anger in her eyes, only a hollow, empty fear. She had tried to steal a luxury life using my name, but she ended up with nothing but a prison number. It was the most honest thing she had ever owned. Life in our new apartment is quiet, but it's a good kind of quiet. There are no more fake smiles or designer lies. Toby is working at a local gym while he goes to school, and Chloe is taking community college classes to become an accountant. She says she wants to make sure no one ever steals from her again. They finally understand the value of a dollar. Sometimes, they sit and watch me work on my laptop, and they finally see the hard work I was doing all those years. I'm not the greedy sister anymore. I'm the person who saved them from drowning in a sea of debt they didn't even know was there. I'm sitting on my balcony now, watching the sun set over the city. My credit score is higher than ever, and my business is thriving. I get letters from the prison sometimes, but I don't bother opening them. I know what they say. She wants me to be unselfish and send her money for the commissary. But I've learned the most important lesson of all. Being selfish is often just another word for having boundaries. If someone calls you selfish for protecting your own hard work, they are usually the one trying to take it from you. I'm Jade Vance, and my identity is mine. It's the only thing I have that isn't for sale.